Hello everyone, a very warm good afternoon to all of you. I'm Dr. Shambhavi Jaiman and I'm here for the next episode of Mental Health Notes. Today we are talking about a very common problem which a lot of us face, sleep disturbances. So I'm going to talk about sleep hygiene, which is a modifiable technique which we can use to improve our sleep. When we talk about sleep disturbances, it's a very common symptom which a lot of you present. When we talk about sleep disturbances, it is a very common symptom which we see in our practice. Day in, day out, people are struggling with being able to fall asleep, with being able to sustain their sleep, with being able to get up in the morning refreshed. Sleep is a process which is very important for our health. It is important for our mental health as well as for our physical health. If we do not sleep adequately, it can lead to multiple things, which I would come to. Initially, when we are starting to have sleep disturbances, it can be an indication that initially when we are having sleep disturbances, it can be an indication that we are moving towards a mental health concern, a mental health illness probably. So it is very important to target it, to rectify it, to do all the possible things to make it better. When we are talking about sleep, a lot of us find ourselves getting into habits which can be using our phones, doing certain lifestyle things which can hamper our sleep. So it is very important. The first thing which we do to modify our sleep, to make our sleep better, is sleep hygiene. When we are talking about sleep hygiene, basically it is all the environmental and all the modifiable factors, all the modifiable components which we work on to improve our sleep. Those factors can be, like I said, when we are using our phones, we shouldn't be using our phones just before our sleeping time if we are struggling with sleep, because it is known that blue light is something which affects our sleep. So these are the things which we can modify. Now when we talk about what are the repercussions of disturbed sleep, disturbed sleep can lead to a lot of mental health concerns. It can lead to depressive episodes. It can lead to anxiety. It can lead to memory disturbances. It can lead to difficulty in focus and concentration. So it is very important that we keep our sleep as peaceful, as apt as possible. When we are talking about sleep hygiene in particular, which is a process of modifying the modifiable and the environmental components during our day to improve our sleep. So certain things which we need to do and which we don't need to do, I would be listing, and we can choose any combination of things which we need to avoid and things which we need to do, so that we can apply it and it can make us sleep better. The first thing which I would say is that we need to have a proper sleeping time and a proper getting up time. That means that if we are sleeping late, doesn't mean that we should get up late. We should have a proper sleeping time, that okay, by 10 o'clock I'm going to sleep. Next morning by 8 o'clock I have to get up. Even if you don't end up sleeping by 10, say you end up sleeping by 12 o'clock, make it a point that you wake up at 8 o'clock. If you shift the cycle, then it's very difficult to get the cycle back. So keep a fixed going to bed and a rising time. That is the first and the most important thing. The second thing which we need to remember when it comes to sleep is that regular exercise is something which can extensively help with the quality of sleep. So make sure that you're exercising once in a day. The exercise can depend on whatever you're comfortable with. It can be yoga, it can be any sort of other exercise, few minutes in a day, maybe alternate days if you don't have adequate time. That would be helpful. The third thing which we need to remember is that we need to have the environment in our favor for our sleep. When we are talking about the environment, one thing is that the temperature should be cool. It should be a dark room. There shouldn't be extra light or any light preferably. It should be a quiet space. You cannot have sound coming in. The fourth thing which I would say is that you need to remember that you don't have to check the clock again and again. When you're trying to go to sleep, it becomes a habit that you're not falling asleep. You check the time, oh it's 10 o'clock, oh now it's 11:30, oh now it's 12:30. Try avoiding using any sort of clocks when you're going to sleep. The fifth thing which I would say is that avoid any sort of substance to help you sleep. A lot of times when we are not able to sleep properly, we take support of substances like alcohol, we take support of nicotine to help us relax, to help us get into that place where we can relax ourselves and go to sleep. That is something which itself can lead into a problem. So make sure that you are not taking support of any sort of substance like alcohol or cigarettes to make you relaxed or fall asleep. Another thing which we need to remember is phones. Phones have become a very important part of our lives. We are carrying our phones everywhere these days. We are using it all the time. It is very, very important to remember that phones, televisions, gadgets, laptops, all these have blue light in them which can affect our sleep pattern, which can affect the release of certain hormones which are responsible for sleep. So it is important to avoid any sort of gadget at least 1 hour before you go to sleep. Another thing which we need to keep in mind is that health, food, this is the thing which we need to remember. Another thing which we need to keep in mind is your food. You don't need to eat a heavy meal just before going to sleep. Remember that when you're sleeping, you need to give a gap of at least 1 hour before your last meal and till the time you're sleeping. So make sure that you give a gap of an hour from the time you've had your last meal to the time you're sleeping, and not a very heavy meal. But in case you end up sleeping late and you're hungry, make sure that you have a light snack just before you go to bed. And it can be something like a glass of milk. A glass of milk contains certain amino acids which can help you with falling asleep, which can help you increase the sleep hormone in your body. So a glass of milk is something which can aid you with sleeping. Something which we need to avoid again while we are trying to improve our sleep is eating on the bed, watching TV on the bed, reading on the bed, working on the bed. Bed is supposed to be associated with sleep. If we are already struggling with sleep and we associated bed with